right, let's see. Here we are, back on the couch. Great to have Dustin back after the solo episode I did last week. And this week we're covering a non-WWE event. We're covering Shine 47, which was recorded in December of 2017. So not that long ago, just maybe a couple shows ago. And we were real excited to dip our toes in the pool of non-WWE women's wrestling. And Shine is all women. It's got a great reputation. So we went in super excited about what we could possibly see. What were your thoughts before we started this show?
I was really excited to see something different. I've been told for years by the internet wrestling community that the indies are where it's at and WWE is terrible. And of course I was really excited to see a women only show. And I think it mostly delivered.
Yeah, I would say that it mostly delivered is a good way of putting it. It's very indie, of course, small crowd, small venue. There are lots of ups and downs that come with that. So, let's get into it. The show opens with a recap of Shine 46, the previous show. First things first, they do a really not great job of recapping stuff. That was a problem. I think you'll remember, Dustin, that we spent probably a solid 7 or 8 minutes trying to figure out if what we were watching was a recap or the actual show.
I think it would have been a lot more clear if we were watching it live, because we were watching like a VOD of it. It was never clear, like, okay, these must be matches from Shine 46, but then there were promos. I don't know if those promos were from Shine 46.
Like a pre-show.
Right. I never could quite, I don't want to say sloppy, because I know they're on a reduced budget.
It just could have done a little better job communicating. So in the future, I'd like to see them be a little cleaner with their delivery of information, especially where it affects stories and characters as we go into shows that, much like us, people might not be super familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay, with that out of the way, so the first actual match of Shine 47 was a 20-woman Royal Rumble. Now, for two people like Dustin and I going into this, not knowing all but a few names here, this was a really confusing way to start our night.
I think I knew 2, maybe 3 names on the card.
To summarize this match as quickly as possible, essentially, they did a good job of keeping women in the ring, was probably the big first thumbs up I can give it. WWE's Women's Rumble, half the women were at any given time on the outside of the ring, making it very difficult to decipher who had been eliminated and who was still in the match. Here, all of the women managed to stay in the ring, even if they were selling on the floor or cooped up in the corner or whatever the case may be. They were, in fact, in the ring. And it was a good halfway through the Rumble before we started seeing any contestants being thrown out, which means right off the bat, we got down and dirty with a big full ring, and I liked that.
Well, so I know that the big thing for me that really stood out, and you already said it, but just the fact that they were all in the ring. We talked about after recording that we never got around to mentioning, but that was both one of our big gripes about the WWE First Women's Rumble. Because there were multiple times during that match where we were asking each other, like, is Sasha still in? Is, insert name here still in? Because they were selling outside the ring, and we had no idea. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of a crowded ring like you are, but overall, I thought it was really great. I think we learned what a Shine super kick looks like.
Yeah, it looks just like a chop, as it turns out.
You know, the thing that strikes me now that I'm talking about it?
A chop? I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
But yeah, I thought it was a great match. It's probably not a shocker being that I'm an Alexa Bliss fan, but I started to kind of become a mark for the Cutie Pie Club.
Oh yeah, you got in on them real quick. And Candy Cartwright, I think, did a good job of playing the loudmouth heel that sort of functions as the de facto leader of the group.
I love everything about her character work.
So anyways, Final Four, Candy Cartwright, Jessica Havoc, Rain, who was number 1 in the Rumble, and Brandy Lauren, who I have no information on. So that's your Final Four. Immediately after the Final Four are set in stone, Candy eliminates herself. Okay, sure.
I think Jessica had turned and given the impression she was headed in her direction, and she was just like, "Nope, I'm out."
Yeah, I think you're right. So Candy Cartwright eliminates herself. Jessica Havoc throws out Brandy Lauren. leaving the final two to be Rain and Jessica Havoc. Rain was in at number 1, Jessica Havoc in at number 20, so you've got your 1 versus 20. Rain is definitely playing the underdog babyface for the night, but she is working injured as well. So Jessica Havoc eliminates herself. Rain as our winner of the Rumble, and thus the number 1 contender for the title. I'm going to be honest with you. That's a really weird ending to a really weird opening match on a show like this. But you made a great point, which was...
Oh, that I thought it was pretty clear the Rumble was... They were using it to set up the storylines for a lot of the other matches during the night.
We'll talk about those as we get to them in the matches. But anyways, Rumble as a whole, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was fine. I think from a pure, action booking execution standpoint, I think that's more of what I wanted from the WWE Women's Rumble. I don't know. It was more exciting. It just was.
All right. I don't disagree. The second match of the night is Natalia Markova versus Ariel Monroe. And I love her sort of style and essence, just from what I caught in the Rumble and what we saw in her entrance. Fingers crossed, hoping she was going to turn out to be very good. Spoiler alert, I come out happy.
Yeah, I did too.
So the match goes a little long, but it's relatively okay though. Basic lockup start off, arm drags back and forth, some audible trash talk, again, the bonuses of being in a small arena. We get a short drop reverse DDT from Ariel. The chops return. We get a slightly botched power bomb, but not the kind of botching that makes you cringe and bite your knuckles, but just a sort of, wow, that looked weird. Some back and forth strikes before we get to the end with a safe double underhook DDT from Markova to Ariel. She finally wins the match. Thankfully, the face or heel won, because at the end of the match, I still don't know which one's supposed to be which.
As I was saying, I really enjoyed Ariel Monroe because while that character doesn't normally work for me, there was something about the audible trash talking. Specifically, there was this one moment in the match where she held out her hand for Markova to shake, and Markova wouldn't do it, and she audibly was saying something along the lines of, if you don't want to shake my hand, then don't shake my hand. And I just really enjoyed that back and forth because of it being a character that I wasn't super into, to suddenly okay, she's kind of got an attitude about her, and she's playing that out in the ring. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent match. I thought it was one of the better ones of the night, but I gave it a 7 out of 10. And you, Dustin?
A 6.
All right. That's better than average from both of us. So good start to the night. Onward and upward, the third match of the night is a 4-way fray featuring Tesha Price, Kikyo, Robin Reed, and Dynamite Didi. We get a lot of stereo spots from both sides, where both heels will do something to the faces and both the faces will do something to the heels. The heels audibly argued in the ring, trying to outdo each other. You had pointed this out when we were watching it originally, how Kikyo would body slam, say, Tesha, and then Robin would be like, oh yeah, well I can do that too, and she'd do the same move to Dynamite Didi, and they'd back and forth that a few times. Heels wind up arguing, faces capitalize on it, with some stereo drop kicks, again, stereo all the way tonight. More chops, sweet fucking Christ. And a great top rope drop kick from Dynamite to Tesha. Dynamite Didi will pick up the win with a double foot stomp to Tesha. It was a momentumless finale, but I think it went to the right person. Dustin, what are your thoughts?
It was fine. I enjoyed all of the heels trying to outdo each other stuff that happened early in the match. I enjoyed the smack talk between Kikyo and Robin Reed. The faces didn't really do anything for me. I think we said last night that this was probably, despite being a decent match, kind of one of the more forgettable ones because none of the wrestlers really stood out very much. The only one I had sort of a positive opinion on was Dynamite Didi, so I was glad she won. I mean, overall, for me, it was like a 4 out of 10.
I can mostly agree with that. I thought Kikyo was a good heel. She's a big girl, very dominant, and she was booked well in that match. So, I thought it was a fine match, did its job, solid 5 out of 10. Yeah. Alright, so the fourth match of the night, a one-on-one featuring Dementia DeRose versus Leva Bates. People remember Leva as Blue Pants from NXT. She's cosplaying at this event as Diva from Overwatch. Alright, so the match itself, Dementia, big girl with the gimmick of insanity.
And booty shaking.
Yeah, and booty shaking, apparently, which goes with insanity, because sure, why not? Match opens with a horrible snapmare. The commentators do their best to explain what Overwatch is so that people are not completely lost, and name drop Team Fortress. Happy days are here again. Very telegraphed body slam. And the first really good spot of the match, a roll through crossface from Leva to Dementia. Very nice. And a big botched handstand Hurricane Rana. It should be pretty clear at this point that Dementia has less experience under her belt. There was a good looking backbreaker. And there's a DQ, which is how Leva wins. So Dementia doesn't have to job. Leva doesn't have to job, I guess. Your thoughts, Dustin?
I mean, in that sense, I thought everyone won because, like you said, Leva got to win, and Dementia losing because she lost her mind. I mean, it played perfectly to the gimmick.
I gave it a 3 out of 10. It was slow, clunky. Dementia is a fine character. Leva, I don't even really know what her character is outside of she cosplays a lot. So, overall, not super impressed with that match.
I couldn't disagree more about the Diva cosplay. I loved all of it. Every single time she threw out a little catchphrase, I popped. But what they produced, I thought it was like a 4 out of 10.
Alrighty. So, 5th match of the night for the Nova title, which we assume is the Shine, maybe Intercontinental or US title. Asia Pereira versus Priscilla Kelly. The theatrics here, just a little too much for me. Priscilla Kelly is doing a sexy vampire thing. The match opens with a crotch smell test of strength. Priscilla Kelly reaches her left hand into her underwear, rubs her crotch, pulls it out, smells it, and then puts her hand in the air for a test of strength. What? Who knows? Anyways.
Don't forget the second half of that test of strength. Asia would not do that, so she held up her other hand, and so Priscilla Kelly went, okay, if that's what you want to do, reached her other hand into the back of her tights and pulled that out, smelled it, and then went to use that.
So this character clearly has sexual overtones, and probably the most overt of the evening that we could see and or tell. More chops. This one goes really slow-paced in the beginning, but we do get a nice snap suplex, followed by a lot of rest holds, a lot of just rest spots in general. This match is severely lacking in any type of slam, DDT, or suplex. It's all rest hold and strikes, both kicks and forearms. Finally, we get to a submission finish, and Priscilla retains her Nova Championship. The end of the match sees a run-in from the Cutie Pie Club, and they decide to clean house. So, what did you think of this match overall, Dustin?
It was bad. Priscilla Kelly had, hints of being decent, but most of her, gimmick was just gross to me. I dig the Hell's Favorite Harlot, succubus vampire gimmick to a degree. It's interesting. I think she's got a good look. I think she could go places. I think there are times where I kind of saw, Paige 2.0, since apparently we can't have 1.0 anymore. The match itself, I think maybe Asia was blown up, I think, because like you said, it was so slow. There were so many rest holds. Maybe I'm just being judgmental and assuming that she was blown up.
Regardless, still was not a great match. I gave it a 3 out of 10. What did you give it, Dustin?
I gave it an F- out of 10.
So, alright. And now we're on to the best part of the night.
Easily the best part of the night.
A promo by Dante Brown. So essentially what happens is this guy Dante comes out with an absurdly long entrance sequence with two women carrying bottles of liquor. I'm going to guess he has some sort of partnership or ownership of said liquor.
He, at one point in his promo that I don't blame you for tuning out of, he made it clear that they were the sponsors of the event.
So anyways, he decides in a move that I was very surprised happened, that a room full of people needed to do a call and response chant with him. His call and response was, let me say, I run this, and then you, the audience, say bitch. So they go the call and response of, I run this bitch. And he does it back and forth several times. I want to remind you that he gets this going in a segment in the middle of an all-female wrestling show. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, somebody please take this dude's mic. Thank God it's over. Oh wait, no it's not, as he starts talking to the camera on his way out of the ring. It was all a Vince Russo swerve. So we still get to hear him in another minute or so. But this segment in total lasted a solid, 13 minutes? Please, please God, never again. Let's move on to actual matches. All right, 6th match of the evening, Kiera Hogan versus Shotzi Blackheart. Ooh, 2 people I want to see wrestle. This match might actually be good. High hopes. ... Shotzi starts by pulling Kiera to the floor, and we get a slow swinging neckbreaker upon her return to her feet. Nice jumping elbow from Shotzi to Kiera. Beautiful baseball slide kick from Kiera to Shotzi in the ground corner. The match does have problems with the too many pinfall attempts fever. I really hate it when people just try for pinfalls like every move they do. A pinfall is an important part of the storytelling device in ring, and if you do it too often, it loses a lot of its luster and setup to the finale of the match. Heel-face dynamic is clean here, thank God. Half the matches of the night have had problems with that. Decent fisherman suplex, and a good ending sequence where the Cutie Pie Club screw over Kiera by mistake. They are out at ringside with her, obviously, because they're all together, and they try to do a trip-up on Shotzi, but they end up accidentally tripping up Kiera instead. Shotzi capitalizes with a decent top rope senton and grabs the win 1, 2, 3. Dustin, thoughts?
I loved it. It was a really good match. The pacing was so much better. And after listening to Dante drone on, and before that, watching Priscilla and Aja trying to figure out which one of them is gassed, and before that, Dementia and Levon trying to figure out why is this going so slow. So nice to have a well-paced, quick match that woke me up after kind of a plodding middle part of the show.
Yeah, completely agree. Great pace, clear storytelling, good face-heel dynamic. I liked both competitors. Very minimal botching. I thought it was great. 7 out of 10.
I considered giving it a 7, but the Cutie Pie Club lost, so I gave it a 6.
All right. So 7th match of the evening, Brandi Lauren versus Jessica Havoc. Brandi caught early by Havoc. Brandi is the small one going against Jessica Havoc, playing the domineering brute force. So she is tossed around relatively quickly by Havoc. Havoc no-sells Brandi's kicks, and showing dominance looks great. Brandi caught a Havoc kick and spins her into the ropes, kicks out her other leg from under her, planting her square to the floor. Thought that was actually a really great spot. Havoc throws Brandi over the top rope, have a little schmoz on the outside before getting chucked into a pile of front row steel chairs. Havoc misses a chop on Brandi after a successful one, where Brandi is backed into a support structure pole. She misses that chop, audibly smacks her hand on it with a ringing sound across the arena. Sounded great. A decent reverse clothesline into a stunner from Brandi to Havoc, and good selling from Brandi. Good pace out of Havoc, too. She's a big girl, but she definitely moves with the quickness. Very impressive. Havoc powers out of Brandi's submission, lands a decent tombstone, and picks up the 3 in a decent match. What'd you think, buddy?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. There was some sort of story going on here, and it was alluded to by Jessica Havoc. She mentioned after the match that she had been brought in to shut Brandi Lauren up, and I think storyline was job well done. I thought it was a great match.
I thought it was a 6 out of 10 endeavor. Mostly the match as a whole didn't really stick with me, but it did do its job to a T. The booking was spot on, and it ended precisely how it should have. Always a pleasure to see Jessica Havoc, who is a big indie darling. And what would you give the match?
So I originally said a 6, but I think now looking into some of the background, I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7, because I hadn't considered the storyline that I think they were trying to tell. It looks like Jessica Havoc hasn't been in Shine since, and she hadn't been in Shine for a long time, so the idea of her coming in as a one-off, someone called me in to take care of a situation, and I did it, and now I'm gone again, works well.
All right, so 8th match of the evening is the tag team title match. It is Candy Cartwright and Aria from the Cutie Pie Club. They're taking on Ivelisse and Mercedes Martinez, 2 big indie darlings who are current champs. Not a single match tonight, missing chops. Chops ahoy, baby. Nice delayed vertical suplex from Mercedes to Aria, showing the strength. This is very, very odd face heel booking. So basically, I'm into the things happening in the match. I'm not into the story unfolding moment to moment. But I do like Ivelisse, though. She comes out with a lot of energy and fire. A suplex from Ivelisse nearly necked Aria, sad to see. And Candy refuses to tag in the famous Strike Force ending, screwing Aria, who eats a few finishers before 1, 2, 3, and the faces retain. What were your thoughts, buddy?
The match was fine. And again, we don't know anything about these characters beyond this one show. But the Cutie Pie Club versus Ivelisse and Mercedes That wasn't even a believable match. Not to say that Arya and Candy are jobbers, but I mean, Ivelisse and Mercedes are tough bitches, for lack of a better way of putting it. From the beginning, it was clear to me that if the Cutie Pie Club were to win, they would have to do so in some screwy way. It was like a fine out of 10.
I gave it a 5 out of 10. Good in-ring stuff. Again, Mercedes and Ivelisse are great. I like the characters all around. Outside of furthering a Cutie Pie Club story, didn't really do anything for the match itself. So we'll get to the segment here. Immediately after the match is over, the rest of the Cutie Pie Club turn on Arya, and she is booted and is replaced with dementia for a reason.
The joys of having a small arena so you can really clearly hear everything being said. I loved when Candy was just like, this is not a democracy, and just walked out.
Well, with that under our belt, we are on to the final match of the evening, the main event, match number 9, Stormy Lee versus Rain. A singles match between two people we saw get a setup promo earlier in the night post the Rumble. The story here is that Stormy is battering Rain's scarred stomach, a legitimate injury she has. Stormy mocks the Let's Go Rain chants as the fans finally seem to get into one of the matches to some decent extent. But Stormy bullies Rain and keeps her grounded for the majority of the event. Lots of kicks. Slow going but methodical. At least they're telling a story here. Rain does find small victories while taking the brunt of the damage, and she does deliver a nice knee to the bowed head of Stormy. Good job continuing to sell the stomach. Kairi Sane might want to watch Rain perform in a match. Stormy hits a decent short spear to the midsection, and the ref eventually stops the match, awarding the victory to Stormy. He's basically waving the white flag for Rain, who is down and out. But this was an awful finish to a main event, so I am not super happy with it as a whole. What did you think?
It was fine. I feel like that's going to become my catchphrase. Am I wearing a shirt that says it's fine?
No.
One thing I don't think we alluded to it, but we didn't actually talk about how the Rumble was to set up storylines for the rest of the night, but I don't think we actually talked about the insanely ungodly long promo that Stormy cut after the Rumble on Rain that, sparked this match being booked.
The reason I didn't bring it up earlier is because the promo is very long and doesn't say anything.
Right, and that's how I felt this match was. It was 10 minutes long with nothing really to report.
Bad finish, regardless of what you thought of the story. And I thought the story was fine. I did think it was good bullying from the heel. I did like the selling from Rain. If it's a setup to something better, then I'm A-okay with it. But all the same, that was your main event for the night. 5 out of 10, man. It really was, at best, competent, but at worst, it was just kind of a letdown for a main event.
Yeah, I had it at a 5, but I think I'm actually going to make it a 4. The more that I think about it, it just didn't resonate with me at all. Functionally, a perfectly fine match mechanically. Like I said, they told the story they wanted to tell. I just didn't want to hear that story. And for me, work rate only covers so much.
So that was the card. That was the night, 9 matches. Final thoughts. Dustin, since we went into this new and we saw a lot of people for the first time, who was your favorite character for the night?
Without a doubt, the answer is Candy Cartwright. Ariel Monroe was a really close second for me, and I think that's a testament to how good she is at her gimmick and her character.
I will agree with you. I thought Ariel Monroe was fantastic. She was my favorite of the whole thing. Loved her style. I liked her selling. I liked her offense or defense. I thought she looked great. She was in fantastic shape. She's very pretty. I like her hair, the shaved sides and back, but like the big mohawk poof of green on top. Just loved her. Absolutely awesome. Well, okay, so those are our thoughts on specific performers for the evening, our first time seeing most of them. Dustin, what would you give the show overall? What's your big final thought?
It will always go down in my mind as the show that introduced me to what may be my favorite female stable of all time, which is the Cutie Pie Club. But it was fine. I gave it a 5. It didn't wow me, and it wasn't terrible, which I think is a testament to the fact that their budget is certainly smaller. They had a whole 40 people in the room, and they still were able to put on WWE quality matches, even under the ownership and administration of Dante Brown. So maybe, you know what? I'm going to give them a 6 because they put on WWE quality matches with everything going against them.
That's fair. I'm still going to stick with a 5, specifically because, I mean, like, all the matches of the night fell somewhere between, like, a 3 and a 7. Like, there were no 1 out of 10s for me. There were no 10 out of 10s for me. So, I think that just averages out, We got a couple stinkers on the lower end. We got a couple good matches, I think it just evens out, man. 5 out of 10. All right, well, that's our show for Shine 47. I'm really glad that we got a chance to dive in and do a little bit of this. It was a lot of fun. I actually want to do another one of these and try to find some updated Shimmer stuff because we really want to do that as well. We will return shortly. We got Elimination Chamber in the not-too-distant future, WWE, of course. And any closing thoughts before we move out for the week, buddy?
So I'm going to say this, those of you who are watching, if you don't mind, leave a comment and let us know what you'd like to see us cover. We want to do what you guys want to see. So if there's a promotion that you think we should take a look at, or if there's a topic you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know.
All right, well, thank you, Dustin, for that information. Yes, he is 100% correct. We are glad that you joined us. Spread the word. And we are looking forward to coming at you with our next episode. Love, peace, and bacon grease. Walk, walk.
Bye.